Hey everyone, it's Mikkel Thorup from expatmoney.com here, and in today's video, we will look at the basics of how to get a second passport or residency. First, make sure to subscribe to this channel and turn on those notifications to get the best from the expat world every single week. For those of you just beginning your expat journey, all of the legal terms you start to hear can be confusing at first. You hear terms like second residency, second passports, and citizenship by investment and wonder where to start. Well, let's look at the basics of what is immigration. Immigration is moving from one country to another to live or traveling to a country for the purpose of obtaining a permanent resident there. Some of you may be thinking of your ancestors leaving Ireland, Italy, and Germany early in the 20th century, leaving behind their old homes for a new one that they hoped would be better to raise a family, a better life without famines, and fewer hardships. Families got on a boat and crossed the Atlantic Ocean to arrive at the shores of the United States of America and become American citizens. They left behind everything they knew and understood, a language they spoke, for a country and a new life abroad. Today, it's really no different. People leave their home countries, fly to a new country, and become a citizen of this new place. Simple enough, right? Wrong. Today, countries have strict rules they enforce for people that they want to come and live in their soil and call themselves citizens. There are two main concepts here to understand: residency and citizenship. They are both different and they are not interchangeable. However, when you become a citizen, you can also become a resident. So you have a small definition of what immigration is, but how does it work? First, you must always have a country you call home. You must be a citizen of a country. You cannot decide you don't want to have a home country. You just want to travel around the globe and not call any one country home. There are stateless people in the world, and it's a terrible situation to be in. Trust me, you do not want this for yourself. You must first find a country that will allow you to become a citizen, fill out the appropriate paperwork, adhere to the new rules of the country you've chosen, pay the fees or buy what is necessary by the laws set out by this new country, and then you can renounce your citizenship if you choose to do so in your home country. There are many countries around the world that will not allow you to have more than one citizenship, while other countries don't care how many you have. Others ask you to renounce your citizenship, but don't follow up. So in fact, you can have more than one citizenship. This can take a few months or several years, depending on the country and the process. Okay, now that you understand what immigration is, where do you go from here? Why are you interested in this subject? The first question to ask is a new citizenship for you? Well, let's ask some more questions about your own situation first. Are you a high net worth individual? Are you concerned about your well-being or your family's wealth in the country where you currently live? Are taxes crazy high where you live? Or are you fearful the government might come along and take everything you own because you donated to a GoFundMe? For most of my private clients, all four of these tick the boxes. And another thing worth mentioning is that you might be fearful that your country's rules and regulations don't align with your belief system. I see this a lot. And there are other reasons why having a second passport is a really good idea. You may ask, why can't I just rely on my current passport? And if something happens or goes wrong, why can't I just flee to another country of my choice? As the last few years have shown us, that concept will not work, not now and likely not ever again. Countries closed their borders to non-citizens and non-residents. People traveling the world during the last 3 years were shipped back home, whether they wanted to go or not. If you had a passport to the country you were living in at the time, they would have allowed you to stay. If you had a second passport, you could choose the country you wanted to live in. You could legally spend 6 months in one country and 6 months in your other country. When choosing a second passport, we also look at the freedom of the new country, their tax policies, and most importantly, do you want to live there? Okay, best ways to get a second passport. There are 5 main ways to get a second passport. The easiest and fastest way is citizenship by investment. Other options are citizenship by ancestry, naturalization, by birth, and even by marriage. First, let's take a look at the big one, citizenship by investment. Citizenship by investment is exactly as it sounds. You will give the new country of your choice either an economic contribution through a donation to the country in the form of a bond, or directly as a donation to a fund, or purchase real estate approved by the government, or a combination of both. And in return, your new country will give you a new passport and citizenship. You may be thinking, why would a country allow someone to become a citizen in exchange for cash or a purchase of real estate? Well, that one's quite simple. One of the main reasons is these smaller nations require money to enhance tourism or help with infrastructure. But how do they do that if no one is coming to live on the island or contribute to the country? They can only take so much in tax dollars from their own people. With the money that is raised, these new countries can fund new tourism infrastructure, which helps increase capital and bring wealth into the country. The process of getting a citizenship by investment is complex and involves due diligence at various levels. So why go through all of the work? The best answer really is time. Reducing your tax bill is vitally important if you are a high net worth individual, and the longer it takes you in the process, the more tax you will be liable for. It's a valid and powerful concept. So if you want to protect your wealth, I would advise you to make an application to work with me on our website at expatmoney.com now, and we can talk about your options. You can have a new passport in hand in as little as 60 days using a country that utilizes its fast track method. And depending on the bureaucracy of a country, other programs can take months and months, some even years. So it's important to choose the right program. Another benefit of citizenship by investment is that your initial passport may not be a particularly helpful travel document. If you can purchase a passport that is more favorable travel document, why would you not choose this route? Some of the countries that have great citizenship by investment opportunities include the Caribbean countries of Antigua and Barbuda, St. Lucia, and St. Kitts and Nevis, as well as European nations like Malta and Turkey. If you're interested in citizenship by investment opportunities, read the important letter in the description of this video, and we will see if it is a good fit, and I will help you find the right citizenship for you and your family. Alternatively, a way to get a second residency that will lead to citizenship in Europe is known as a golden visa. A golden visa refers to the immigration program allowing high net worth individuals to get a second residency permit or even a second passport in another country simply by purchasing a house or making a relatively large investment or donation. If you make the required investment and apply for a golden visa, you and your family members will become legal residents of that country. You can live there, go to school, and get access to healthcare. Now, you may be wondering, do golden visas lead to citizenship? And the answer is yes, in most cases. A golden visa can eventually lead to citizenship, but you must live in that country for a few years before they hand you your passport. Plus, you will be required to speak the local language and take a test on your proficiency. However, a golden visa automatically is a residency permit, and in time, you can apply for your second passport. If you are not interested in getting the second passport and citizenship, you are often required to only spend a couple of days in the country every year to keep your visa active, which can be very nice. Some countries in Europe that currently offer golden visas include Greece and Spain. Another way to get a second passport is through citizenship by ancestry. Did you know that if your great-grandparents came from Spain, Ireland, Italy, or several other EU countries, you can essentially get citizenship and live or work anywhere in the EU and not have to apply for a visa? Not all countries will go back that far. Some it is only your grandparents, but even so, what an easy way to obtain a second passport. Some countries that offer some level of citizenship by ancestry includes Italy, Ireland, Poland, Latvia, Austria, and a dozen others. Another method for achieving a second passport is through citizenship by naturalization. Citizenship by naturalization is the process of living in another country for a certain amount of time and then eventually qualifying for your citizenship. You're going to have to prove strong ties to that country, including owning real estate or having a rental agreement, time on ground, a bank account. If you go to church or a synagogue or the mosque, showing religious ties, having a gym membership, a golf membership, these types of different ties to a country. Now, the process can vary from one country to another, though in general, it involves living in the country for a particular amount of time and learning about the culture and the history of that country. The rules vary from country to country in the process of naturalization, and a country will look at the length of the time that you live there full time, and if you have purchased real estate and have a good command of the language. In most cases, you will be required to take a written test and pass to be able to become a legal citizen of your new country. But if you've been living in a new country for several years, the process of acquiring a new passport is not too difficult or too costly and may well be worth the effort that is required. Another way to obtain a second passport is through citizenship by birth. While you can't help where you were originally born, you can control where your child is born. And picking a particular country for that birth can provide them with the huge advantage of having a second passport at an early age. This is the concept of birth tourism. Birth tourism is giving birth in a country that grants citizenship based on the concept of jus soli, which refers to the right of anyone born in a particular country to the nationality or citizenship and provides benefits to all children born there. This will give your child a better quality of life and entitles them to a second passport immediately from birth. In many cases, parents of such children also enjoy a faster naturalization timeline. The process of jus soli is generally available to anyone who has a child within the territory of a country with birthright citizenship, even if they are a temporary resident or an illegal alien. The only people whose children do not qualify for instant citizenship are diplomats. These countries also offer what is called absolute jus soli, meaning that the biggest hurdle you'll face in some countries is having to register your bundle of joy with the local authorities to secure their passport. Some of the best countries in which to give birth include Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, Uruguay, and Panama. My wife and I decided to give birth to our second child in Brazil for exactly the reasons mentioned above. At birth, he was automatically a Brazilian citizen, and because I am a Canadian, he will also qualify to receive his Canadian citizenship, and a couple of others with a little bit of work from our side. Add to that, we are residents of Panama, and he will therefore be allowed to receive his permanent residency in Panama while we sponsor him. Finally, there is one more way to gain citizenship and a passport, and that is by marriage. This one is pretty simple. You may marry someone who is already a citizen of another country, and once you complete the required paperwork and prove the legitimacy of the marriage, you will have the chance to become a resident and eventually a citizen of that country. Every country is different in how they do this, so be sure to work with professionals if you are pursuing this option and to ensure that you follow the proper guidelines and procedures. If you are considering any of the methods for acquiring a second passport, and if you would like to work one-on-one with me on getting out of your home country or setting up a Plan B location, then read the important letter in the description of this video and fill in an application to become a private client. My fees are not cheap. However, I can assure you that when you work with a professional firm like ours, the results will be worth it. If you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications on this channel. And while you're at it, be sure to bookmark expatmoney.com, which is also where you can reach out to my team for assistance with the programs that we discussed today.